British first came to Darwin, they thought it was Palmerston, and they kept calling it Palmerston for quite some time. And in the early Palmerston, a man called John Knight was the local egghead. He did lots of things, and one of the things that he did was he designed buildings, and he designed the town hall, and he designed Brown's Mart and other buildings like that out of local stone. In the true British tradition, big thick stone walls, roofs that just fitted them almost like a milk bottle top. And the thing was, he was a clever man, and he noticed that if you wanted to stay comfortable in the tropics, then the key to that was air movement in the building. So he built what the people wanted for their public buildings, but when he built his own house, he gave it a veranda, which was an Indian invention that the British already knew about. He gave it a veranda and he gave it air movement. And the local British immigrants, which they all were in those days, called it Knight's Folly, because they thought it looked a bit strange. But he was the coolest dude in Palmerston at the time. Now, if we jump forward about 50 years, then we see the arrival of Benny Burnett, who was then the principal architect in Darwin, and the job he was given was to keep Commonwealth public servants cool, which has got to be a good thing one way or another. And so he took the veranda one step further, and he made the whole house a veranda. Benny Burnett was a bit like, he was the red M&M, you know, in a sea of blue ones. He was a very clever man. To Knight's principle of air movement, he added shade. He made nice eaves on the roofs. He added reflectivity. He gave the roofs a light colour to reflect. And he took away John Knight's thermal mass, because it was the thermal mass that was keeping people warm at night. Unfortunately, he did it all with asbestos. It was the latest building material at the time. They didn't know in those days that it was dangerous. But that was the problem. But everything else there is a good formula. He didn't take the roof walls to the roof if they were crossing the breeze. He also gave them louvers, and he took his windows to the corner of the building, and he made the windows full length. So if you were sitting in the room, or if you were lying down in the room, you still got the breeze. The windows going to the corner means that it doesn't matter which way the breeze blows past the house, it's going to draw air through the house. And you notice that the windows are capable of opening 100%. The other thing that he thought about was orientation of the house, which way it faced on the block, because if you can put it across the prevailing wind, then you're going to catch all the breeze. He even put a north point in the floor of one of the buildings, one of the houses that he made. You can go and visit it. It's called Burnett House on Miley Point. The tenants didn't really understand. It was a bit embarrassing, so they put a floor covering over it. Nobody knew it was there until they restored the house. But he put it there so that we would understand what he was on about. He gave his houses high-pitched roofs. Thanks to Benny talking about the cyclone, high-pitched roofs stay on in the cyclone, low-pitched roofs come off. And he also raised the building up above the shrub line so that it would catch the breeze. Now, if we jump forward another 40 years and we see what they're doing in Darwin after Benny Burnett's moved off to Alice Springs and probably gone into retirement, what are we doing in Darwin? Well, we've taken away the airflow. We don't want any airflow in the house. We don't want any reflectivity, so we have nice stark roofs. We don't have eaves, cost money, so we don't have eaves on the roofs. So we take away the shade. We don't think about orientation because we want to squeeze as many houses into the subdivision as possible, so there's no room to juggle them around. And not only that, surveyors like to run these things in straight lines, so they're not going to give you enough room to change things around. And we've put back the thermal mass because we're building them all out of concrete blocks and we're building them out of brick. And honestly, these houses are about as useful in the tropics as a sore ass to a boundary rider. Really, they are. The other thing is the developers and the builders are as cunning as shithouse rats, because they come from wherever they come from to Darwin and they don't have to learn anything new. In fact, they refuse to learn anything new. And that's how we get what we get. They can fix it all up. They can get away with it, they think, by hanging air conditioners all over the building like dags on a sheep's bum. So the poor people that have to live in them. Well, the poor people that are living in them was the missus and I. We come to the Northern Territory, and for more than 20 years we live in these houses. We live in block houses, we live in brick houses until they're all pizza ovens, and we live in them till we're done to a turn, basically. We want something else. So we bought ourselves a block, and I'd done architectural design in the 1960s, a long time before when things were all feet and inches and things. So I had to get an architect to draw it all up in metric for me. So I drew up my design, I made little cardboard models, I took it along to the architect and he put it all right and gave me a couple of ideas to boot, because this man was studying the development of the bungalow in tropical areas anyway for his PhD. I didn't know that, he didn't tell me that. But he was the right guy to go to. And we made, and this is the formula that I came up with. I liked air movement. I went and looked at Benny Burnett's houses. I wanted reflectivity. I wanted shade. And I was going to be careful about the orientation. Even my neighbours told me about that. They said, I've got a beautiful elevated house here, but the breeze doesn't come through because it's facing around the wrong way. So I thought, yeah, I'll try and get mine facing the right way. And I didn't want any thermal mass. I'd lived with thermal mass for over 20 years and I was sick of thermal mass. Had thermal mass up to here, so it was going to go. So how can we do this? We can't do it with asbestos and wood like Benny Burnett did, so we decided to do it with steel frame. We did the large windows, louvers. We can use Cyclone for the roof, which is even shinier than asbestos. It's more reflective. It's also stronger. And it's got less thermal mass. And we can add a couple of things that Burnett didn't have at his disposal. We can put reflective insulation in. Now, I want to put reflective insulation in with an air gap, because in the 1960s I was taught all about your insulation won't work unless it's given an air gap between the insulation and the roof cladding. Not only did the builders not do that in Darwin, they refused to do that in Darwin. 50 years later, they haven't even heard of it. Not only that, the architects have capitulated and said, oh, look, they won't do it. You can't put it in your drawings because they won't do it. So, and the other thing that I can do is I can use solar power. Well, that was 2005. Now it's 2009. 4 years it took me to find a builder who would build to my formula without changing it. 4 years it took me. And in the meantime, I'm living in this beautiful new house in Palmerston that I can't go in even in June unless I turn the air conditioner on. So by 2009, which is 7 years after we bought the 7 years after we bought the block, and 4 years after I had my final design, finally the house goes up. It's a Benny Burnett house built with modern materials and the additional thing of insulation. It's light, it's airy, it's cool, it's comfortable, and the solar power works, which is another story entirely. And the builder gets rewarded because he gets 3 awards. he gets the NT Custom Build for the year. He gets the NT Energy Efficient House Award for the year. And the next year, he gets the National Award. In 2011, believe it or not, my house was officially the most energy efficient house in Australia. Thank you.